Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To our lecturer, Encik Muhammad Hafiz bin Ghazali. Today, my group will be presenting about the industrial robot technology that we have chosen, which are Delta robot and Cylindrical robot. So the group members are Muhammad RUZAINI bin JAMRI, HAFIZUL ILMI bin BHARURAJI, Encik Muhammad FATTIHI EKHMAL bin Cimut, and myself, Muhammad HARIZ AKMAL bin ABDUL. So this is the introduction of the industrial robot that we have chosen, which are Delta robot and Cylindrical robot. So this is the introduction of the Delta robot. Although Delta robots were first developed in the 1980s, the manufacturing industry did not begin to take notice of them until around 10 years ago. So today, assembly lines across several industries frequently feature Delta robots. Due to their parallelogram arm design, these robots are also known as parallel link robot. 3 to 4 carbon fiber, lightweight arms that extend down forward from the main robot body are typical for Delta robots. So because of their shape and the way their arms resemble spiders, they are frequently referred to as spider robots. And due to a center joint, Delta robot's arm can bend inward and attach to a small tooling plate. It is possible to link the end effector to this little tooling plate. A motor housed inside the main robot body is attached to each arm, so the motors control the arms' up and down motion, pushing their joint forward and outward. As a result, the tooling plate moves along the X, Y, and Z axis as a result of this joint movement and producing a cylindrical work envelope. So the end effector is controlled by one of the robot arms that extend from the body center, and Delta robots are renowned for their rapid acceleration and fast speed. So they are faster than other industrial robots because of their design. And the majority of industrial robots have motors built into the robot arm, making them suitable for application requiring larger payloads. So the inclusion of the motors, however, makes the robot arm heavier and prevents it from moving at high speeds. All of the motors in the Delta robots are housed in the main body, placed above the work area. So as a result, the robot's entire main weight remains stationary. All motion is generated by the extraordinary light robot arms, which also have a low moment of inertia and enable incredibly high working speeds and acceleration. Next is cylindrical robot. Cylindrical robots differ from traditional industrial robotic arms in that their main arm globs up and down rather than pivoting on a number of axes. A cylinder that is included into the robotic arm extends and retracts to produce this motion. So many of these cylinder-shaped robotic devices use motors and gears to generate rotation and pneumatic cylinders to produce vertical motion. For specifying point positions, cylindrical robots utilize a three-dimensional coordinate system that use a chosen reference axis and relative distance from it. So the relative direction of the axis and the distance to its perpendicular from a chosen reference plane are also used to specify point positions, as is the distance from a chosen reference direction. For example, a metal cylinder for heat transfer, long straight wires that generate electromagnetic fields, and the rounded cross-section of straight pipes are examples of things that require rotational symmetry along their longitudinal axis. Although this speed causes rotational inertia problems that could affect repeatability of the system is not configured within the bounds of its capabilities, cylindrical robots are also frequently moved quickly. Next is types of industrial robot, which are Delta robot and cylindrical robot. The first type of industrial robot is Delta robot, which is these spider-like robots are built from jointed parallelogram connected to a common base. So the parallelogram move a single EOAT, which is end of arm tooling, in a down-shaped work area. So Delta robot heavily used in the food, pharmaceutical, and electronic industry. This robot configuration is capable of delicate and precise movement. Next is cylindrical robot. As we can see in the slide, the robot has at least one rotary joint at the base and at least one prismatic joint to connect the links. So the rotary joint uses a rotational motion along the joint axis, while the prismatic joint moves in a linear motion. Cylindrical robots operate within a cylindrical shape work envelope.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi. Now I will explaining about the work procedure for Delta robot and cylindrical robot. Okay, first of all, let me go to the Delta robot work procedure. So before starting up system and device for the first time, a check must be carried out to ensure that the system and the device are complete and operational, that they can be operated safely and the damage can be detected early. Okay, next. Okay, so basically Delta robot consists of base connected to parallelogram with joints. This parallelogram create motion with a dome workspace in a single end of arm tooling, which is EOAT. Delta robot must be positioned in an assembly pattern or within a container. With the inclusion of vision technology, the Delta robot are able to correctly recognize and choose a variety of objects in terms of color, shape, and size. Delta robot also can use similar vision technologies to pick and place things based on a design or pattern that has been programmed. So this type of robot are capable of handling more than 100 pieces per minute, choosing, putting, and sorting a part or item significantly faster than human labor procedure. So the major advantage of Delta robot is that the rather heavy motor are mounted to the robot frame, allowing the robot moving part to be comparatively light. The location of the motors and the arms movement enable the Delta to achieve the speed unmatched by other robot kind. That's all for Delta robot. So now we go to the cylindrical robot work procedure. So as mentioned earlier, cylindrical robot have a main arm that moves instead of pivoting on a series of axes. So a cylinder built inside the robotic arm generates this action by extending and retracting itself. In some of these cylindrical robot, the rotation is done by gears and or a motor, while the movement up and down is done by a pneumatic system. The name cylindrical robot derived from the physical shape of the cylindrical work envelope, which is primarily up and down at the body's upper portion and circular. So the direction of the end effector is determined by the arm extension, height, and revolution around the main body axis. These are three variables that must be controlled in order to position the end effector of a cylindrical robot. The addition of a wrist to the end of the arm cylinder increases the mobility of the robot. Okay, that's all for the cylindrical robot work procedure. Okay, now we go to the industrial involved for Delta robot. So the Delta robot is commonly used in several industry, manufacturing industry such as packing industry, high precision assembly operation, medical or pharmaceutical operation, food processing, cosmetic industry, soldering, and adhesive dispensing. So for the cylindrical robot, next, the cylindrical robot are commonly used in several industries such as spot welding automation, robotic casting and molding machine handling, general machine handling application, material handling application including package assembly and palletizing, robotic coating and finishing application, and automated assembly operation. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Next, this is the summary of the industrial robot that we have chosen. For Delta robots or parallel robot possess three arms connected to a single base, which is mounted above the workspace. Delta robots works in a dome shape and can move both delicately and precisely at high speeds due to each joint of the end effector being directly controlled by all three arms. Data robots are often used for fast pick and place application in the food, pharmaceutical, and electronic industries. So the effective use of floor space by Delta is a feature that is frequently disregarded. So near the worksite, the majority of stationary robots are affixed to the ground. A safety cage and other tools might need to be used to enclose the robot. Many square feet may be needed for this kind of setup. However, the Delta is positioned above the workspace. This form enables the Delta to utilize the frequently underutilized vertical space in manufacturing facilities. Greater floor space can be used for additional equipment and storage to be better use of vertical space. Lastly, this is a discussion or summary about the cylindrical robot. Cylindrical robots have a rotary joint at the base and a prismatic joint to connect the links. The robots have a cylindrical shaped wood envelope, which is achieved with rotating shaft and an extendable arm that moves in a vertical and sliding motion. Cylindrical robots are nearly just as popular and come with their own set of advantages. So the typical cylindrical robot features a rotary and a linear moving part, so they are a little more economical in terms of space than their Cartesian counterparts. They are also quite easy to use as they require less assembly and maintenance, and cylindrical robots are often used for assembly operation or spot welding, and they are typically used in tight workspace due to their compact design.